The Magic Show is brought to you by StarCityGames.com, and check this out. The StarCityGames.com Open Series comes to Philadelphia on June 5th and 6th, and this event is going to be huge. We're talking hundreds of players, $10,000 in cash prizes, and at least 8 players qualifying for the 2010 StarCityGames.com Invitational. Live coverage on the StarCityGames.com website, tons of side events, and as much Magic the Gathering as we can pack into one weekend. So make plans to join StarCityGames.com in Philly, and we'll see you there.
This is Jerry T. Obviously, you're watching The Magic Show. Go on. Go ahead. Go.
They made it a lot more interesting. Instead of Jund being like the only deck, now you've got Naya, Jund, well, blue-white. There's also Bant, different flavors, mono-red. There's just a lot more decks that can be played with the addition of Rise.
I think the impact of Rise on the standard is really interesting. Now, Rise has a lot of really powerful cards in Rise. You know, Gideon Juro is incredibly powerful. Vengevine's incredibly powerful. You know, obviously the Eldrazi Conscription that sort of generated that entire deck. You know, I think the format's been really shaken up. I mean, anytime that there's a lot of powerful cards introduced to a format, even if the format had a lot of powerful cards to begin with, I mean, there's going to be big changes. You know, and I think people are still discovering a lot of them.
Basically, there is a big push towards permanence. A lot more creatures because of Vengevine, a lot more planeswalkers because of Wall of Omens, a lot more crowded boards. Moving away from spells, moving towards permanence. A lot of stuff in play, and a lot of games ending with really powerful effects.
I think Rise did a lot of really good things. With Wall of Omens, it sort of opened things up where Jund isn't just this unbeatable deck, and it now makes Bant have a really good endgame with Sovereigns into Conscription. And also the red deck now with like Summons Bushwhacker combo, it just sort of added sort of endgame mechanic to a lot of decks that just really put them up over the top.
Vengevine is one of the best threats ever printed. Planeswalkers are very powerful right now, if not too powerful, and we need haste creatures to attack them. I'm pretty worried about what's going to happen when we have no Bloodbraids and Blightnings to keep them in check. And Vengevine's a good start, but there's going to need to be more. We need hasty things with big numbers in the first part. That's what we need.
The deck kind of came about like I played Jund in a PTQ, and the mirror match was all about attrition, and the match against Planeswalkers was all about attrition because they didn't have Mindspring in their deck. So I'm just like, there has to be something better than like Putrid Leech and like Sprouting Thrynax. So like I started working on that deck. Obviously Vengevine is a perfect fit. And then I just kind of put the Spark Mages in because they're good against Mythic. And it's good in like the Mirror, and like the Jund decks were playing Plated GOP and stuff like that. So it just kind of all came together really nice. And I mean, I didn't like innovate all that much. I changed 10 cards. Like anyone could have done this. Could have been you guys if you just like get off your asses and start doing some work. But instead, I'm on the Magic Show talking about my Naya deck. Could have been you guys, but hey, that's cool.
Limited is like a complete home run. I think it's one of the best draft formats of all time. There are tons of different archetypes you can draft, and it's interesting because like you can use your early picks to just take good cards, like removal spells and things like that, and then you can kind of like come up with a theme. Like I've drafted and won many 8/4s drafting Goblin Tunneler decks. I didn't like Zendikar Limited. I felt like every single time after your first 2 picks, you're just force drafting an archetype. your deck didn't have at least 6/2 drops, you would get run over more often than not.
It's really nice to be able to miss a land drop and not lose because of it now. Because in Zendikar, it was like I'd have 8 lands on the board, and I'm just like, come on, let's draw a land, you know? And now it's like I kept a 1-lander on the draw, and I missed land drop 2 and 3, and I still come back and like am able to play the game because it's not so oriented on hitting land drops right away.
I'm a huge fan of Rise. It's one of the best limited formats I've played. It's really, really fun. It was said once in a draft that I was in that it plays a lot like Cube. You can just play any archetype that's ever been in Magic, basically. And so just like the Cube, where you have access to like all kinds of different cards, they're all good, but they do really different things. Very similar feel in Rise, where you have cards that are doing really, really different things from each other in exactly enough of each of the numbers that you can really get your deck to do all kinds of things.
Zendikar Limited was pretty easy. Like, as long as you knew to like stop early aggro or be early aggro, like you had to have one of those 2 game plans, so you were very like linear, like one of those 2 things. If you weren't, you just couldn't win. But now you just have so many strategies you can go. You can have like aura decks, you can have ramp decks, you can have token decks, you can have leveler decks. Like, there's so many things, and like if you misevaluate 1 card or 2, you can end up screwing up your entire archetype. Like, sometimes it looks like something's good, but it's not necessarily going to be good. Like, people are playing a lot of counter spells and blue-white levelers online right now, and it's just so bad. Like, they're always tapped out. They never have lay bear open or whatever. So like, you really have to dig a little bit deeper. You can't just like, this guy's a 2/1, he's in my deck.
Complete 180. Zendikar was kind of fun, kind of cool, but Rise is one of the most skill-intensive formats I've seen in a very long time. People like Gabe Walls are saying that this probably will be one of the best Pro Tour top 8s ever because of how skill-intensive the format is.
It is not remotely close. Rise is awesome. It's one of the best formats I've played in Limited like ever. And Zendikar is probably my least favorite Limited format of all time. In Zendikar, like, every color is just trying to draft as many evasive 2-drops, like Plated Geopeed, Welkin Turn, Core Skyfisher, you know, whatever, Circar Marauder, and just kill the opponent as fast as possible. There's like very few decisions, the games aren't interesting. If you ever mulligan or miss a land drop, you die.
I think a lot of people didn't like Zendikar Limited, but I think it tested different things. I think early on Zendikar Limited was a lot of fun. I think that sort of format, the sort of very fast, very aggressive format, wears out on people much faster. I think people get bored of, you know, just, oh, well, you know, this 2/1 is a 2/1, it's a 1/3, it's a whatever. Whereas I think Rise is, I think, one of the most skill-intensive limited formats ever. There's so many cool things, so many different sort of combinations, you know, you can draft, so many sort of incredibly complex decisions in every game. Levelers in particular, you're just planning multiple turns ahead in terms of your mana usage, even if you don't have spells in hand. You know, it's ridiculous. And I think that a lot of people have been saying that, you know, they think that this Pro Tour is going to have one of the best top 8s in a long time, you know, because the Rise Limited is so skill intensive. And I don't think that that's a stretch.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about that. I think Mythics being above $50 or even above like $40 is overall not good for Standard. I mean, when you're looking at, yeah, $1,000 for a deck like Mythic with Jace's, Gideon's, Baneslayers, Elspeths, Lotus Cobras, and then like all the lands are rares too. That drives people away. It makes it hard to get into the format, and that's kind of bad.
It's a possibility. I thought it was already a reality.
I think we're really sort of getting to the point where standard decks are getting too expensive. I mean, I think like the deck that I'm playing this weekend has 4 Jaces, 4 Vengevines, it has Gideons, it has Elspeths. You know, it's like I had a hand earlier today where over half the cards in my hand were worth $50 or more. You know, and that's like not an uncommon hand with that deck. I think that Mythics are a good thing for Magic in the sense that opening a pack where you can get like basically the golden ticket. You know, you open a pack and I opened $50. That's cool. But when those $50 cards, you know, are among like the best cards in every deck, it's so hard to compete with them without them. You know, it's like one of the best answers to Jace is Jace. Some of this is a very good thing for Magic. You know, but the fact that there's so many people who want so many of these Mythics, you know, and it really drives the prices, you know, really high. I think we're sort of reaching a limit where people are getting priced out of Standard, and I think that's pretty unreasonable.
People complain about it, but I think in order to be the best at anything or be competitive at anything, you have to make some sacrifices. You know, if your hobby's golf and you're playing with a $200 set of clubs, like that might do for a while, but as soon as you want to step your game up and like, you know, be like go semi-pro or start golfing against people, you're probably going to invest in something, you know, a little nicer. And I think that Magic's the same way. Like, you don't have to play the $1,000 deck. So if you want to, like, that's good for you. Go out, get the cards, do what you need to be be to play at the highest level. It's basically what it comes down to. If you're playing poker and you don't want to build up a good bankroll, like you can't complain when you have $100 and you want to enter a $1,000 buy-in. Like it's just the basic facts. Like you have to be willing to put down some sacrifice, some money to play at the highest level.
It's funny to me because I just borrow all my cards, so I mean for you guys I guess it sucks, but I mean like network more, get friends. Like it's very rare that someone has 3 friends and they all want to play the same deck. So like I mean if you get a bunch of friends that are just into the game, or like they don't even have to live near you, they can just be like a couple hours away, you go to the same PTQs, whatever, just like meet a bunch of people, like make friends, like stop being douchebags or whatever, like make friends, they'll loan you cards, everyone's friendly, like everyone says they're like, yeah, I'm in this Grand Prix and I couldn't find like an Ajani Vengeance, so I'm not playing one. It's like there's 2,000 people in the room. How many of them do you think have an Ajani? Like just go up to people, man, like don't be scared.
Karthus has been awesome for me. For some reason, 2 of my opponents have been at 7, the other one was in at 5 when I played it, so I don't know whether it's happenstance or whether I somehow planned the game state to that point so I could do it. Like I miss a point of damage here, I make sure that I overcommit here so he's tapped out and the Karthus kills him, you know?
What I was saying, because I'm like, are you at 7?
Yeah.
And you're tapped out.
Yeah. I'm just what? So you're at 7, right? Alright. Yeah, and in one game he was at 7 and I had like all forests and plains and I had 2 birds. And I just played Karthus off that and killed him with it. So it was nice.
I always like the fatties.